morning and welcome back to our channel, Courageous Conviction. Today I'd like to share a little bit with you from the Book of Mormon, something I would like you to just keep in mind a little bit of what's taking place out there in the world in the aspect of politics. It's interesting because I'm going to read you politics from Alma 48, and we're going to read about Amalickiah and about John Moroni, and we're going to read about the politics of both of them and the efforts that were made to try to overcome our freedoms. And I hope that you'll try to put some comparison maybe into what's taking place today. I'm going to go through and read some things here and then put it in today's vocabulary, if you will. It just by inserting proper names or references to groups of people or peoples in lieu of Amalickiah and in lieu of Moroni, and when we talk about the cause of the Christians. Let's go ahead and read. I just want to jump right into this. And this interesting take on this. I was reviewing this the other day with my daughter and going through it. It really kind of made her stop and think, wow, this is how I can bring the Book of Mormon and apply the prophecies and warnings of today. Let's read. And now it came to pass that as soon as Amalickiah had obtained the kingdom, he began to inspire the hearts of the Lamanites against the people of Nephi. Yea, he did appoint men to speak unto the Lamanites from their towers against the Nephites. Sounds good. That's what he did. How do we apply it today? Let's go back. And now it came to pass that as soon as the Biden administration had obtained the kingdom, he began to inspire the hearts of the Democrats against the people of the Christians. Yea, he did appoint men to speak unto the Democrats from their towers against the Christians. And thus he did inspire their hearts against the Christians. Insomuch that in the latter end of the 19th year of the reign of the judges, he having accomplished his designs, thus far, having been made king over the Democrats, he sought also to reign over all the land, yea, and all the people who were in the land, the Christians as well as the Democrats, or the conservatives, if you will, as well as Democrats. Therefore, he had accomplished his design, for he had hardened the hearts of the Democrats, and blinded their minds, and stirred them up to anger, insomuch that he had gathered together a numerous host to go to battle against the Nephites, or the conservatives, or the cause of the Christians. Now, who would be those that have the hardened hearts? And is it just the Biden administration, Joe Biden? No, I just firmly believe that Biden is nothing but a puppet. And this links back to the World Economic Forum, United Nations, and the World Bank. This is where this is all coming from, down from. And there's other videos we talk about that. However, I want to keep this somewhat spiritual today in showing that politics is in our scriptures. And we need to understand politics to be able to understand our scriptures today. Especially 1/3 of this Book of Mormon is about what's happening today. And if we don't read it that way and see it that way, we're going to fall under that same deception. And we are as a church. That's why we have so much division in the church. It's because of the deception. And I have a really hard time sitting during sacrament meeting talks and hearing all this Marxist rhetoric as if it's something that they should be saying and doing about this niceness and this kindness and how we don't stand up and et cetera, what a peacemaker isn't instead of what a peacemaker is. And I offer to you that General Moroni was a peacemaker. Let's follow through here. Let's keep going. So just bear with me on this. You can apply this in different areas, but if you want to, you can apply this right now to what's taking place. They're on those towers. The corruption, the judges, the attorneys, the corruption is taking place right now that we are warned about. Let's keep reading here. So he accomplished his designs, for he was determined because of the greatness of the number of his people to overpower the conservatives for the cause of the Christians and to bring them unto bondage. And this is exactly what's happening today. And thus he did appoint chief captains of the Zoramites. Now why the Zoramites? Because they were once the people that had been affiliated with the Nephites, right? Or I should say, they were former Christians. Well, look at the Latter-day Saints that leave the church angry. They are the ones that hate the most, right? And they're going to get their vengeance. And they hate the people that they once loved because somehow those people got offended or they offended him or her. I was there. I didn't hate anybody, but I got offended. I just left, right? However, we need to apply this today. So I understand how people can get offended. But to give in to hatred like that, I don't quite understand that. So he was determined because of the greatness of the number of his people. So now he's growing in number, right? With the invasion coming across the border right now, they are growing in number. And I'm going to do another video. I'm in Costa Rica right now as I'm speaking this. I came down here finally to start doing those interviews I talked about doing a few months ago. Had to put some things together first before I could leave with work and so forth and finances. But I'm here now to start this. And my way down here last night, you would have been amazed at how many Latinos, and I'm talking about Latins that don't live in America, right, have U.S. passports, brand new ones. Even in immigration, they were sitting there looking at their new pictures. So many of them. It was unbelievable. It's almost like this Christmas gift was just given to them. A whole group of youth from a country down here who were traveling to Costa Rica to do something was for San Juan to celebrate Latino culture. They all had U.S. passports, and they weren't from the U.S. None of them were speaking English. They were all Latinos from different countries. It was amazing to me. But let's keep going here. So the numbers of hosts are growing. Now, keep that in mind, because that's how they're going to grow numbers. And I want to go into that about how they're going to be able to steal elections the same way. Because they condition their hearts. They're growing their army, right? So they can grow them to overpower the conservatives or the cause of the Christians and bring them unto bondage. And thus he did appoint then the chief captains of the Zaramites, those who were angry, right? But they knew their inner workings. They being the most acquainted with the strength of the conservatives or the Christians in their places of resort, in their weakest parts of their cities, etc., etc. Therefore, he appointed them to be their chief captains over his armies, right? So you're going to have these groups like BLM, these woke groups rise up, and they're going to destroy and burn, and they're going to put fear into everybody, and they're going to manipulate people into becoming captive. Fear will cause you to become captive. Be careful of that, please. Fear doesn't come from God. And thus it came to pass that they took their camp and moved forth towards the land of Zarahemla, or America, if you will, here, in the wilderness. So in other words, they were hidden. They're coming in, they're moving in, they're coming in, they're beginning to come around to invade. It's already happening now. It's hidden, it's clandestine, right? Now it came to pass that while Amalickiah thus had been obtaining power by fraud and deceit, all right, he was working his ad. He was doing his part. Satan was at work, like he always is. Moroni, on the other hand, Captain Moroni, or General Moroni, I like to refer to, because he was a chief captain, had been preparing the minds of the people to be faithful unto the Lord their God. And that is true. We're hearing the same thing from our church leaders today, that we need to be faithful. Do not lose the faith. But Moroni was doing it with verbs. In other words, action words. And we'll go on to read the next verse to finish this video. And we'll see where Moroni's counsel is very different than the counsel we're receiving today from our general authorities. All we're receiving today is have faith, love, be peacemakers, etc. Now, I'm going to offer that this is what being a peacemaker is, because this is the only way you can bring peace. If you do not do nothing, you don't stand up for what you truly believe in, your integrity disappears and you feel empty. You don't have peace inside. If you don't fortify your home or fortify yourself spiritually, you won't have peace inside. These are all action words. These are verbs, being a peacemaker. If you don't go out and try to help your community save freedom and family and property, you are not being a peacemaker. I'm sorry. Listen to this. Watch. Yea, Moroni, he had been strengthening the armies of the Christians and the conservatives. Okay, so how do we strengthen the armies? Well, these were actual literal getting ready to go to battle. Right now, we should be preparing for that. We hope it doesn't happen. We work hard that it doesn't happen, that there is no civil war in America. But there was a report that came out from Canada this week that said there is a 40% chance right now. Some are saying this. Some are saying that it's unlikely, but right now, with everything that's taken place, we are in a position that in history has caused, we already surpassed a point that had led societies into a civil war. So we're on that cuff right now. Let's hope it doesn't happen, because it's very ugly. I know some of us want to just clean things up and get back to normal, but it's not going to work that way. We got to try to work it through. I get what the church is doing, trying to be patient and trying to be loving and outstretched still. I just want to see the other side being talked about like it's in our scriptures too. That's what I'd like to see. It's just what's not being said or how it's being said is what I'm not in agreement with. Now, who am I, right? And I say I'm not in agreement because I'm one on the ground and I worked locally, right, with the people in the state, and I see their confusion. But I honestly don't feel that our leaders understand completely what's taking place on the ground. And I say that from experience because when we've dealt with apostles when they come into these Latin countries, I've been there. I've been a part of the security commission and so forth. We just get them, bring them in, and boom, we ship them right back to their hotel room and out again, right? They don't mingle anything. There are times we made assignments for them to go to see people and go to lunch or so forth, but we told the people ahead of time, very seldom, or they'll come to the stake president and say, hey, let's go visit somebody, right? And they'll go drop in on a house. And you can do it once or twice, and that's fine, but you don't get to know the culture because as soon as you get there, the attitudes change, their problems disappear, etc. Right? Well, let's get back to this. Look what Moroni did to be a peacemaker. Yea, he had been strengthening the armies of the conservatives or the cause of the Christians, had been erecting small forts or places of resort, throwing up banks of earth round about and to enclose his armies, and also building walls of stone to encircle them round about their cities and their borders and their lands. Oh, wait a minute. He was building walls around their cities and their borders of their lands to protect them. Yea, all about the land. And in their weakest fortifications did he place greater number of men. So where the borders would be weaker or where they couldn't build the walls higher, they would place a number of policing agents, if you will, that would eliminate the enemies from penetrating within. And remember, some of these enemies were once part of the Nephites. They were once the conservatives. They were once the Christians. So we not only do we build borders around our lands, but we need to build borders around our homes and even in the church, I may offer. Now that's a different border. It's a lighter border, but it's one that we definitely need to understand that we've got to be careful of the enemy coming into the church. And that's a tough one. It really is, because people profess to change. We want to help them change, right? But those who are professing to change, well, Doctrine and Covenant is pretty clear that if their intention is to cause danger or harm to the saints or their testimonies, they're to be eliminated. And that's Doctrine and Covenant doesn't mince words there. Now, let's go on and finish here. And thus he did fortify and strengthen the land which was possessed by the Nephites. Now, why did he do all this? Why did he do this? That's the good reason. And listen, and this is right here, it summarizes it. And thus he was preparing to support their liberty, their freedom, right? Their lands, their property, their wives that are being raped and being killed today by these same enemies and being kidnapped, their children, the ones being kidnapped and trafficked, and their peace. You see, all this was done to preserve their peace, that they might live unto the Lord their God. Oh, so that's how we live unto the Lord our God. And that they might maintain that which was called by their enemies the cause of the Christians, or the cause of the conservatives. And some might even say, right now, the movement that's moving this is the MAGA movement. That's not a bad thing. The other day I was talking to my daughter, and I said to her, she said, well, we're going to go to Disney. And they go every year to Disney. And they spend a lot of money down there. I said, why are you supporting Disney? Well, Dad, you support Disney too. You just don't know it. I want to tell her, she's the kind that was like, she won't go into an argument. She'll just kind of back away from it. I love my daughter. But I wanted to tell my daughter at that point. I said to her, well, you're probably right. Maybe I do. But, there's a movement. And it's through the MAGA movement right now that we're boycotting. So, I'm not MAGA. She's like, I'm not MAGA. Because her friends have associated being MAGA as being something bad, right? Because what they want to do is keep their foot in the church and keep their foot, around their worldly friends too. And have that, both sides. We're at a point, my friends, Elder Bednar said in 2020 that we cannot be fence sitters anymore. We have to decide which side we're on. And those of us that are made the decision of which side we stand on are being accused of being extremists. John Moroni was accused as extremists. These people that stood up were accused of being extremists. The Lamanites accused them of being extremists. This is no different than today. It's the same idea. There is hatred on one side and not on the other. If you look at it, what are the Democrats doing? The Democrats are the hate mongers. They're out there spreading the lies, CNN, MSNBC, et cetera, et cetera. Now, not all of them, I understand that. But if they're still a member of the Democratic Party, knowing now that they're not hiding what they are, then there is some serious question on whether they should actually have a temple regimen or not. And now I'm not saying I'm much worthier than they are. I'm just saying that in those questions, that's something to be taken in consideration. I've always wondered that too, when I saw this movement coming years ago. So what do we do? How do we become peacemakers? Well, one, we need to secure our borders, and we need to put walls round about the borders to keep our enemies out. The other is we need to put walls around about our homes. Now, I'm talking literal walls too. I'm actually at the point now where this next year we're going to start building fencing around my land in the mountains because the crime is now starting. It's slow right now, but it's starting to increase. The murder is taking place in our little hillbilly town way out in the middle of Red County. Once was Red County. But the problem is we live too close to the San Francisco Bay Area. And that is an influence that's come here now because they want to escape all this that they don't like. The part they don't like about it, they want to escape, and they've come up to the mountains and bought up all this land. Drove prices from $200,000 to $800,000 to $1 million for homes. It's just out of touch. Nobody can afford it. And it becomes very difficult, and they bring their politics with them up there. Now, we do a lot of work for these people, and some of these people, they're good people, but they have their worldview that does not align with the Lord. And they do not. When you talk about you're a Christian, or even I'm a Latter-day Saint, but the fact that I'm a Christian, some of them go, ooh, kind of, yeah, okay. And they kind of like shut down on me. However, I want to offer to you, this book tells us what's taking place today. This book will guide us through what we need to do and how to prepare for what's coming. And then, if we prepare, we talk about it in priesthood meetings, and we prepare as brothers and sisters, and we come together with the spirit of Zion, and we build up and we help rebuild those who cannot. Then we'll be prepared and we'll have peace. I offer to you that is what a peacemaker is. If you like this kind of content, do me a favor, give us a thumbs up, subscribe down below. I got some more videos coming up this week, and I'm going to put one out on what I saw on the plane yesterday. Really disturbed me, of all the American passports given to people who aren't Americans. And I wonder how they got those, because I fly a lot, and I haven't seen that in a while. I haven't flown for a couple of years. And in these few years now, all of a sudden, it's interesting when I get into the lines for immigration, how many of them line up under the foreigners line from different countries, but with American passports. And they don't live in America. That I can promise you. I talked to some of them, and they don't even speak English. We're going to talk about that too, because that is part of what's taking place in the warning that we have here. Default. So, Courageous Conviction, we'll see you in our next video.